Hello and welcome to the Better in Business podcast. I've been thinking a lot lately about my listeners, about entrepreneurs, about family businesses, about service-based businesses, and about how I can cut through and help you do better in business. So that is to educate you and to help you to implement what you learn. Or as I like to look at it these days, you want to learn, then you want to build, because these days we absolutely need to build and refine our digital assets. Okay, so if that's like, what is that? Really simple example is a website, but we need to learn, we need to build and refine things like websites, social media, and so on. Standard operating procedures, if it was back end, then we need to implement what we've learnt and what we are building or refining. We need to implement it in our business, whether it's across win the work or do the work. Okay, that means front end, win the work, brand marketing and selling, or back end, business administration, do the work stuff. Whether that learn, build, implement is across any of those things, that's what we need to do. And then we need to just see how it's all working, right? That means test, measure, get some support, and so on. So I've been thinking, how can I cut through and really try my hardest to have an impact on you? And it's probably led me to want to do 5 podcast episodes on 5 particular subjects that link in together. And I want to set the scene by telling you what they all are so we can move forward and do these 5 episodes, which I'd love to wrap up into something that you can use either DIY, done with you or done for you. And I definitely want to relate it to the business mastery blueprint. Okay, as I move forward in the Better in Business podcast, I really want to try hard to do these things. Like, how can you access it in those 3 ways? DIY, done with you, done for you, because it suits all time, all budget, all kind of stages of business, and relate it to the business mastery blueprint. Okay, so in each episode, we're going to drop a link to the business mastery blueprint for you so that you can see the visual representation. You can print it out, you can put it on your desk, you can put it on the back of the toilet wall, you can frame it, do whatever you like with it. So these 5 subjects are time, tech, AI, leading with purpose, and team. Okay, so we're going to dive into time, which really is about how to be productive. You're not going to win the game of business. You'll be one of the failure statistics. That is harsh, I know, if you don't learn to be productive. Okay, so I'm going to teach you that. We're going to dive into why you need to 100% stop saying, I'm not good with tech, because you're going to need to understand how to make tech your friend. It doesn't mean you have to be the best with tech, but I've done this with clients over and over, and you just need to be tech savvy enough or understand how to build a team that can help you with that. AI, so I'm deep down an AI rabbit hole, and I want to give you some really great education on that to help you do better in business. I want to share with you how I lead my team with purpose and how that removes the need to be so focused on standard operating procedures, even though they're critically important, but how I believe and how I see that leading with purpose is the number one thing. And then how you won't win the game without a winning team. What does that mean? It doesn't mean recruiting a whole lot of full-time staff members. It's also about, you've put me on your team. If you're listening right now, you are embracing to some extent team. Even a mentor is part of your team, okay? So these 5 subjects over 5 podcasts in order to help you do better in business, and then look at how we can give it to you moving forward in a way that helps you to rinse and repeat. DIY, done with you or done for you, okay? Now, if any of that's like mind-blowing, do you know what you're talking about? That's okay. If you just trust me now, believe me later, jump into this first episode of the 5-part series, and I promise I'm going to give you ways to use all of this to help you do better in business. You've tuned into the Better in Business podcast, and I'm your host, Jeannie Savage. I'm a multi-award winning business veteran and head of the Strategic Bookkeeper Network. My network of strategic bookkeepers is dedicated to helping entrepreneurs do better in business. This podcast aims to challenge your thinking. If you're not thinking the right way, how can you act the right way?
Each episode will dive into key drivers of success, which I also call the rules of the game. Learn the rules and play to win. Let's go. I like to start every episode by reminding you that it is globally recognized that pillar number one for success is up-to-date, accurate bookkeeping, which is the only way you can see how your business is performing in terms of profit and cash. If your books aren't right up to date, visit betterinbusiness.global, drop me a line and I'll connect you with a certified strategic bookkeeper. Fire your bookkeeper and hire a strategic bookkeeper. Bookkeeping is a cost, whereas strategic bookkeeping is an investment that averages a 10x return on the fees.
Okay, so let's jump into this part one of 5-part series that you can use like a bit of a course. And we're going to start with time and productivity. Interestingly, organization or being organized has over the years, many moons ago, probably been more of one of my weaknesses, especially managing a diary. And it is important for us to recognize what we're good at, what we're not so good at, and then realistically, work with ourselves, also with using tech and team to be good enough at the things that we need to have right, get right, rules of the game in business, okay? So in terms of being productive, in terms of, let's call it time mastery, I like to call it time architecture, okay? So in terms of how you architecture your time and how you get shit done, we'll call this productivity. And actually, there are 3 things that I always look at when I'm working with entrepreneurs, and that is mindset, productivity, and mechanics. So in terms of mindset, there's a bit of stuff there. For example, if I have an entrepreneur who has a real fail mindset, that is, I tried something and I failed, versus a no fail mindset like Edison. Yeah, so when he did his 1,000, 2,000, whatever attempts at making the light bulb, if Edison had have had a fail mindset, that is, well, I failed, that's it for me, well, we might all be sitting here in the dark today, okay? Or it might have even had a bigger impact than that. So no fail and a mindset around we win or we learn, which is kind of putting it really simply here, okay? I've got more on that we can go into another time, but just to let you know, mindset, then productivity, learning to be a productive entrepreneur, or as I like to call it, a highly productive human, is critically important to find success in your business and, dare I say, your life. Whereas I find that entrepreneurs focus on the mechanics. So the mechanics is, what do I need to do? Like, here's what I need to do in order to be successful. And I'll give you an example in a minute, but here's what I can tell you about all my observations of entrepreneurs, taking into account that well in excess of 80%, 8 out of 10 entrepreneurs will never get there with their business. They'll never really earn more than they could in a good job. They'll struggle and struggle and struggle. Is it because they don't know what to do? That's the mechanics. No. I have done lots of my own data and research on this. And on the whole, it is number one, because they don't know that there's more than just the mechanics in play. They don't know that they need to work on their mindset and work on productivity, and they have issues around mindset and they're not productive. Mindset and productivity, when you get those right, the mechanics will work. If you know what to do, but you have got a mindset that is not right and you are not productive, you'll never get the time, the energy, the inclination, the attitude to implement the mechanics anyway. If that's a little bit mind-blowing, maybe just take a moment to take it all in. Sometimes it's good to go back to the start of the podcast and listen again and ask yourself, what does that mean to you? Now, I'm going to give you an example, a very basic example of what I just talked about before we move forward on productivity. So I was working with an entrepreneur who told me, I just need leads, okay? If somebody could bring me the leads, everything would be fixed. All my issues in business, everything would be fixed. But here's what I discovered. And absolutely, this entrepreneur has mastered his mindset to a point where it works for him now. And so excited to see him turning up as a productive human as well. But right at the beginning, what I can tell you that I discovered about this entrepreneur is he had the classic mindset dominoes that add up to going to struggling in business and life. And I'll just let you know what they are. So, shame and self-sabotage, comparison, fail mindset, fear, doubt, and indecision and insecurity. And in all my experience, shame and self-sabotage is the domino from which those other dominoes fall. Now, since working together for the last year or so, this entrepreneur has said to me it's been such a revelation to realize that he needed to find a way to build self-confidence and to be able to have the courage to fess up when he doesn't understand something. All these things around mindset. Okay, it's a big, big subject. And then when it came to productivity, he was making the classic mistakes there, okay, some of which I'm going to dive into them all now, but I'm just looking at my little book that I've written. I've written this book for bookkeepers. However, it is great for all entrepreneurs, but particularly professional services, but all entrepreneurs. And it's around the Business Mastery Blueprint that you get access to every week in the show notes now, okay? So in this book, which in one of the episodes, once it's published very soon, I will let you know what the book is and where you can get it in case, even though you're not a bookkeeper, you want to jump into it, and I will highly recommend it. But 5 of the things I talk about around time architecture, aka productivity, is number 1, using the science of when. So if you've never heard of that, you know the opportunity is great. Okay, when you have a 0 out of 10 on a subject, the opportunity is massive. So I use the science of when, which helps me with when I am going to be able to focus best during the day. I'm a proactive, not distracted single tasker. Sorry, that is a mouthful. Versus being this entrepreneur that I'm using as an example was reactive and distracted and multitasking. So proactive versus reactive. All right. So proactively working on my agenda. For example, as I record this podcast, it is a Monday and I'm going to record probably 5 episodes all at once. So I'm going to batch record, which is very productive. And I'm not looking at my email. My phone is on flight mode. Before that, it was on do not disturb, and I want phone calls from anyone. I'm going to single task. Okay. So I'm proactively working on my agenda. So I know what I need to get done, and that's what I'm going to get done, rather than, for example, looking at my email and reacting to everybody else's agenda and what they want from me. Then I'm not distracted. So I've made sure that I can turn off, like nobody can distract me. Okay. And if anyone wants something of me, either they can't get in touch with me, or even family, it'll be like, I can't deal with that right now. I am not distracted and working in this period of time on the one thing on my work. And then I'm single tasking. All right. So I'm not multitasking, I'm single tasking. And with this entrepreneur, he was definitely the former, not the latter. And yet now it's amazing to me that I just watched him spend, goodness, what was it? It was over 12 hours. I think it was 14 or so hours, single focusing on getting one task finished. In this case, it was writing a fairly short book for publication of about 10,000 words that is going to be the most amazing nurture asset in his business. That is one of the one things that if he gets that done is going to game change everything. It's going to make everything easier on the win the work side of the business. Okay. That is brand marketing and selling, lead generation, filling up that pipeline. So this is where he's gone from his original state to where he is now. So the third one is I work with the law of polarity, okay, which is really when you say yes to one thing, you're saying no to another. So if I said yes to diving into my email right now and starting to answer emails, well, I'm saying no to recording these podcasts, okay? Sounds really simple, but the law of polarity is a lot like gravity or any general law. It comes from alchemy. And think of it this way. When you say yes to going to sleep, You say no to being awake. So it really is like a law, but it works in everything, including a business. So number 4, I am all about habits, KISS, meaning keep it super simple. So I'm a habits ninja, and my partner laughs at me over habits and the way that I work, but I've always worked with atomic habits. And if you haven't read that book and achieved some mastery around atomic habits, you need to do that. Okay, this is a massive part of being a productive human, of time architecture. So when I read Atomic Habits, I was like, oh, yep, that's how I live. That's what I've been doing. I learned about habit very early on from my father. And when I work with entrepreneurs, so this entrepreneur in particular, he was like, oh, Jeannie's making out like habit is so transformational, but how can something that simple be so transformational? And yet now he sees that there were habits that weren't serving him that are killing everything. Okay. And now he's developed the habit of single tasking, making sure he's not distracted, of being proactive, of not checking email first thing in the morning. And they might seem small, but success leaves clues, my friends. And remember that over 8 out of 10 entrepreneurs are failing and will continue to fail. So what are the 20% doing that are successful? They're doing these things. So the 5th one on the list is I turn up as a leader and manager with no apologies. And this entrepreneur has gone from being a people-pleasing nice guy manager to a no apologies leader and manager. Now, once he got these things right, he's got the time and the mindset to make the mechanics work. So can you kind of begin to see how, if you think, oh, well, I just need this thing to do, just tell me how to get sales, just tell me how to do standard operating procedures, just show me how to do my bookkeeping, whatever it is, and then everything will be awesome. I can tell you the results are in, the data's in. That is not how it works. Mechanics is one of the 3 big keys. And that, so you have, once again, your mindset, productivity, mechanics, and very linear. Okay. You want to get your mindset right. You want to become highly productive. And then the mechanics are there for you to learn and implement. Okay. Learn, build, implement. Okay, so now I'm looking at the Business Mastery Blueprint. And when we're talking about productivity in these 5 subjects generally, they're right up the top on the left-hand side under Foundation. So if you know the blueprint or you've got it printed out, maybe you haven't, that's okay. I'm letting you know right now that on the left-hand side, there's a whole lot of stuff. On the right-hand side, there's a whole lot of stuff. And what we're diving into here, productivity is part of the foundation of your house. So I'm looking at the foundation and it says plan, mindset, productivity, and brand. And then all the other parts of the blueprint are the mechanics. So now I'd like to take a look with you at, I'm just going to my little notes here. Basically, in terms of productivity, the common things that I see the most entrepreneurs do, remembering most entrepreneurs are failing. So let's look at what entrepreneurs are, the mistakes they're making, and then the entrepreneurs that are getting it right, some of which you will know. For example, we could go Richard Branson or people like this. Like, what are they doing to get it right in terms of productivity, linking to the 5 subjects kind of all together as an ecosystem, and then give you ways to take action based on where you're at as you begin to ask yourself, are you making these mistakes? What are you getting right? What are you getting wrong? What's the next thing you could do to become productive? Okay, so on my list is I use the science of when. Now, I'm not going to go into that one a lot. I'm just going to direct you to the book When by Daniel Pink. And I recommend that you use one of the summary apps to listen to it. I use the Blinkist app. There's also Headway and there are others. And then it's only about 10 to 15 minutes to get the science of when. Okay, once you do that, you're going to be able to work out whether you're a lark, a bird, or an owl, also known as a night owl, and that's going to help you with where your golden hour is. So 80% of people are in the first 2, larks and birds. I'm a bird, so I function best in the morning, but 20% are night owls, so they function better at night. And when it comes to productivity, even though there are absolutely rules of the game, you also need to find your groove and find some ways that work for you, especially when it comes to things like how you keep your list of tasks, how you make sure you get things done personally and professionally. I don't believe there is one single way that works for everyone. That would mean that we were all the same, and we are all vastly different. That probably leads me to another thing, which is I have a concept called Start With You. And you may have heard Start With Why, you may or may not. If you haven't heard of Start With Why, look up the book Start With Why by Simon Sinek. And again, do the summary. Now, my concept is Start With You, and it absolutely helps you with productivity when you combine the ecosystem of time, tech, AI, leading with purpose and team. Because when you do Start With You, you are diving into your psychometrics. People say to me, what are psychometrics? So it really is the metrics around who you are. So there's a whole lot of kind of like psychology tools that you can use to learn what your zone of genius is and how you communicate and all these other things. And the reason that that is important is that when you start to get help, whether it's from me, a virtual assistant, a strategic bookkeeper, a part-time marketing admin, whoever it is, a sales rep, whoever it is, then you want to build your team with psychometrics, okay? And we're going to dive into that a bit more in team, but I will just mention that that is a part of productivity. And I have got tons of courses, resources, and coaching and tools and help for you on all of this at betterinbusiness.global. So just going to remind you that whether you need help, and it's going to fall into, I want to do it myself with some great tools and resources, I want to do it with someone with great tools, resources, and some consulting, coaching, mentoring, whatever you call it, or I primarily want all this done for you, we can help you with that. You just need to send me an email. You could just do a voice clip. You could send me a normal typed email, and you could just say, Jeannie, I heard this podcast. I really feel like I need help. Could we catch up for a quick chat, a needs analysis, and then I can tell you exactly how we can help you, and we can connect you with a strategic bookkeeper as well. Okay, we always start with some free help and some free resources. Now, moving on to one that I really want to focus on in terms of entrepreneurs who are getting it right versus wrong, and for you to really analyze this one and do a bit of a diagnostics, okay? And that is the reactive versus proactive. So where are 80% or more entrepreneurs going wrong? It's that their day-to-day, moment-to-moment is reactive. Now, this is the topic that I really want to focus on primarily for the last part of this podcast, okay? Because it is just such a massive thing that's holding entrepreneurs back. Now, reactive is absolutely the opposite to proactive. And one of the things I love about the Atomic Habits book is that in Atomic Habits, the author talks about the inversion of a rule. And what that means is it's kind of like the opposite, right? So you've got, like, we're inverting it. So for example, when I say reactive, then the inversion is proactive. So when you're reactive, you're not proactive. And then basically the thing is that our world, our lives set us up to be reactive, okay? And before you were an entrepreneur in your personal life, with your family, with your kids, etc., it is normal and actually often necessary and needed to be reactive. For example, child screams, react. Child wants something to eat, react. You're in the car and somebody pulls out in front of you, react. So human brains are built to react. And in fact, I have a brain model, and on the very far right, we've got that reptile fight or flight. And then at the top section, I've got the reactive brain, okay? And that is our natural state these days. But then at the front section, we've got the proactive brain. I've also heard it called the empire builder brain, and I love that because if you think of your business like an empire, then to build that empire, you need to master this empire builder brain section of your brain, the proactive section of your brain. Now, there are 3 A's to change: awareness, acceptance, action. So as we move forward in this podcast, I'm going to ask you to use the 3 A's to change in order to change up going from reactive to proactive. Now, having a plan is an example of being proactive, and then sticking to that plan is an example of being proactive. If you have no plan, then generally the only thing you can really do is just to react to what's in your in tray, what's in your email, who's ringing you on the phone, who's texting you, who's Facebook messaging you, who's tapping you on the shoulder, and so on. So if you think of someone like Richard Branson or Elon Musk or even Oprah Winfrey or anyone that you would look at and go, well, they're really successful. Think of the fact that they had a vision, also known as a plan, and then they built team to bring that vision to life, to execute. Okay, so this is one of the reasons I'm introducing you to an ecosystem here where productivity is linked to you understanding that you won't win the game without a winning team. So and then I think of other entrepreneurs that I work with, and the way that they find success is through learning to single focus on the plan that they have. And the only way they're going to do that is if they remove distractions. So this area that I talk about being, I'll read it from my notes. I am a proactive, not distracted, single tasker. Again, the inversion of that, reactive, distracted, multitasker. Okay, so I'm thinking about a wonderful entrepreneur client of mine that I've mentioned a lot in podcasts because it's been the biggest result that I've had. And that was the entrepreneur that went from kind of the brink of bankruptcy to 7 figures in 6 months. And this is really how we got there. But he really did rely on me and the team that I kind of pulled into a executive team to keep saying to him, you're going off into reactive brain. I get what you're telling me might be a great opportunity or sound like the next shiny thing, but we need to come back to what we are single focusing on right now, which is profitability. And in this case, we know that's linked to job costing, and just so job costing. And he said, absolutely. The team and Jeannie just kept bringing me back out of reactive brain into proactive brain to get rid of all the distractions, all the people, all the things that were saying, no, come do this. Here's an opportunity. Come and do that. And then to just single focus through leading his little team to find where the pain was in job costing and then take action. Okay. So, right. And then I could give you lots of other examples of entrepreneurs that are highly successful and that they do exactly this, linked to team. Okay. If you're all by yourself right now, that's okay. But you will absolutely get better and better at this and be able to sustain it through understanding yourself, through building a really great team, which we're going to dive into more and more in other episodes. So you can go back through this episode and listen to the other 3, which is I work with the law of polarity. Remember, every time you say yes to something, you say no to something else. If that sounds simple, I can tell you right now, that simple little thing is transformational. And the entrepreneur I started the example with, he was really used to answering the phone, for example, getting an opportunity like there's this, for this real life example. So there was like a business expo coming up, and that's a great opportunity. And he's heard really good things about it. It could work really well. And I said to him, absolutely. There's opportunities all over the place. But if you're going to say yes to that, you're going to say no to the other things that we've identified are a really high priority, and you're simply not going to get them done in a timely manner. Okay, so the law of polarity is so freaking powerful in your business and your personal life in terms of habits. Again, habits that serve you, habits that don't. Yeah, and that last one, ask yourself, Are you an A leader and an A manager that makes no apologies and you lead with purpose? Okay, which we're going to get into in other episodes. Just coming back to proactive, not distracted, single tasker, now is the time that I just want you to have a think about where you're at. So awareness, acceptance, action. So for the next week, I want you to become aware of whether you are proactively working on your strategic plan or whether you are really reacting to what's going on around you. And as I say this, I'm imagining the plumber in the car, thinking, well, of course I'm reacting to what's going on around me. I'm busy and I just need to get it all done. If you stay in that, you'll be scratching your head wondering why you don't either have the income or the time wealth. Because if you're just busy, you didn't go into your business to be busy. Okay, most entrepreneurs will tell me, I went into business for myself to be able to pull lots of time wealth out and to live my own life, to have freedom and that kind of thing. Okay, so where are you at right now? Do you start your day by opening your email and reacting to what people are sending you? And you might think, well, doesn't everyone? 80 or more percent of entrepreneurs do. 80 or more percent of entrepreneurs are failing. The entrepreneurs who are finding success are not just spending their day reacting, and that's not how they start their day. Okay, that's not how Richard Branson starts his day, for example. If you master proactive, you'll probably find you naturally learn or decide to get rid of distracted and you become a single tasker. So awareness, are you more reactive than proactive? Are you therefore distracted by the phone, the text messages, the emails, the clients, the staff, the family, the door knocking? And are you narrowly single tasking like my entrepreneur did for 14 hours to get his ebook done, dusted, and ready for publication? And that meant not looking at anything else, right? Or are you multitasking all over the place and hoping that through multitasking, you're going to get it all done? So that's the awareness for the next week. And then after that, you've got to decide if you'll accept it. If you're a plumber driving in a car going, this is rubbish, I have to react, it doesn't make sense for me to be proactive, well, you haven't moved to acceptance, okay? It's only through, like the client of mine that went to 7 figures fairly quickly, it's only through the acceptance. He accepted very quickly, oh my goodness, I'm completely reactive and I need to be proactive. If you can accept that, then you can take action. And the first action that I recommend you take is to stop checking your email first thing in the morning and just for a week, see if that creates any disasters. Okay. Now, if you find that you have to check it for some reason, depending on the kind of industry you're in and the client inquiries, then that's going to establish for you what needs to be delegated to team once you can do that. Okay. So I recommend using the 3 A's to move to become proactive, the master habit, as I like to call it, in order to work in a way that's not distracted and that you are single tasking. Now, I'll wrap this with just kind of reminding you that if you want help with these subjects, okay, we can help you. It's just about dropping me an email so we can organize that catch up and that chat, and then we can give you your options that suit all budgets and all stages of business in order to move you one step at a time in the direction of where you want to go, from where you are now, income, time, purpose, and joy, to where you want to be in the future. Okay, we do it every day of the week. We've done it for ages. We're not getting out of the ballpark, and we'd love to help you too. But the first step is to reach out and let us know that you're ready to get help so we can analyze what you need and give you your options. And I'll see you in the next episode.
I hope you enjoyed that episode as much as I enjoyed recording it. I would love to help you start doing better in business right now, by giving you a free little ebook. It's a how-to guide. It's called The 7 Deadly Cash Flow Sins. And also I've developed a business health check for you. It's super high value. Both are available at betterinbusiness.global. If you would like to fire your bookkeeper and hire a strategic bookkeeper to start enjoying a return on investment and get the support you need to optimize your business cash and profit and time wealth, simply visit betterinbusiness.global, drop me a line and I'll connect you with a certified strategic bookkeeper near you. I'll see you in the next episode.